Hey everyone, Jake
And Paul.
here with a quick and friendly request to rate and review Lawsome wherever you find your podcasts.
Ratings and reviews are like food for the show, and we all know how important food is.
Real important.
So if you like Lawsome, please show your support and keep it fed.
Thanks. It's not personal, it's just business. That statement defines a level of separation that exists less and less these days. The line between work at the law firm and your personal life, at best, is blurred, and at worst, is all-consuming. Add on to that fire the additional fuel of being a business owner, the responsibilities of making payroll, paying the utilities, having enough people to get the work done. The idea of separating your work from your life begins to sound absurd. Could you turn off the voice in your head reminding you of the things you need to get done at work and focus on the things outside of work? What's considered outside of work anyway, now that our phones keep pestering our pockets with persistent pings? You want to give your family a good life, but if you're not careful, it'll be a life without you in it. Well, it's possible to have love and life outside, and even inside the law. That's what we're talking about today on Lawsome. Lawyers and love. Let's dig in.
Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by Consultwebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for law firms that can be returned in the enclosed prepaid envelope. We're here to inform, educate, and entertain the legal community on the latest in personal and professional developments. I am Jake Sanders, gifted psychic medium, and with me, Paul something or other. I forgot his last name. Paul, how's Montana?
Jake, you been painting with the windows closed again?
I worked up to WD-40. I was huffing WD-10, WD-20, and for the weekends I was just doing WD-30. But I just did a whole bunch of WD-40 because the windows are squeaky.
I feel weird, but I'm slippery. Nothing sticks.
Not that we know anything about all this.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah. What's on the show today?
On the show today, we dig into a few articles from Above the Law and BCG Search. We talk about love, law, and life balance with Texas trial attorneys Tally and Mark Thiessen. We also take a short diversion into beer koozies and marketing, and we place our guests under questioning with 10 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The links today are from BCG Search and Above the Law. The one from BCG Search is written by our friend Harrison Barnes. And the Above the Law article is actually a response to Harrison's article. So the Harrison's article is the number one attorney killer. Wait. The number
one.
Whoa! What is
How much is the article I read?
Looks like it's wild raccoons. So
who knew? Anyway,
if you're a lawyer, stay
look out
clear
out
of
there.
these. No, the number one attorney career killer that attorneys are never taught. And then the response is, if you care about work-life balance, you're a bad person. Paul, you found these articles. What kind of give us a brief overview?
Okay, so Harrison, our buddy Harrison, his article basically says, as a lawyer in a law firm, you will work long, arduous hours. You're also expected to be on call almost immediately when needed. If you're an attorney who has concerns about work-life balance, be careful. If you have those types of concerns, working in a law firm may not be for you. This is an interesting take for me because really, I think it borders on being a psychopath or a workaholic or something. I mean, this is basically saying it's almost like, in radio, they say you go on vacation and you're going to get fired. Your replacement's going to take your job. I think that's kind of what's going on here. Like, it's basically saying, if you're not dedicated, if you have these other concerns, then you don't have what it takes to be a lawyer. That you don't care about your clients. You don't care about the practice of law because you care about other things.
Right. And he's the article is replete with stock photos of people looking at the word commitment, and then there's a rising, arrow. And if you don't have that commitment, you can't go where the arrow's going. And I think it's a broad brush. But the response to his article, the subheading is, "What's gotten into this guy's bonnet?" He pretty much thinks all you people are whining crybabies, and he's going to tell you so. So it isn't this diametrically opposed thing, work-life balance. Earlier we talked to Caroline, and, she thinks it should be abolished, the idea of it, because people's idea of what that means is completely different. So the responses to these articles run the gambit. But, I think really what my take is that Harrison's talking about like a big law firm, and the majority of lawyers going into practice today are solos and smalls, wide margin. So small, very small groups of people are going to go into this big law thing where you have to kind of disappear into the couches and, kind of crush your dreams and, all those kind of things. But my point is I think that when we talk to Tally and Mark, they believe in the work-life balance, but they work hard and they play hard. But one thing that is we kind of tease out is that they plan hard, is that they set aside times to figure out how this is going in. They've set aside times to figure out how they're going to enjoy their recreation, and then that's part of the schedule. So you live and die by that schedule, then you have to schedule those times to balance it in. So it's possible, but it just takes a little bit of elbow grease. And I think a lot of people are expecting the work-life balance to be figured out as they get into a job, but it's something you have to figure out, right?
I think so. I think the response also pushes back a bit on the whole machismo thing. Harrison, you gotta mellow out, dude.
Harrison's gotta chill.
That's part of it. Like, maybe Harrison spends a little bit too much time thinking about, employment with lawyers or something. I don't know. But it seems like, and Tally and Mark illustrate it, I think, perfectly, that, like Mark says, what did he say? You don't live for your work. You work for your life. Isn't it something like that?
Yeah.
He says it a lot better, but that's the kind of the thing. Like, it seems like this article from Harrison is saying, if you're not fully committed, I'm never taking off my lawyer suit, I'm always the lawyer, you're going to fail. And I think that the counterpoint of it is that's a myth. And if you do what this guy is suggesting, you will have a heart attack sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, without a doubt. And that's why I think people giving this stylized version of your future, it's not approaching reality. It's not it's not all cut and dry. I mean, this is a very, very black and white article from Harrison Barnes. Are you cut out for practicing law in a high pressure environment? Not all of the environments are high pressure, and sometimes we create the pressures of our environments internally inside of our heads. So, there's a way to approach law and life, and you can balance it. So, I mean, don't read this article if you're concerned about that.
Well, I mean, I think I would read it, but I'd be skeptical about it because, the reality is a lot of times it's not necessarily the profession, but it's where you're doing it. Like, I'm sure there's people, who are working at Google where it's super competitive. Getting a job at Google,
right.
Is hard. And it's competitive to keep it. I'm sure there's big law firms that are like that. They may thrive on it. They may be like, we put people to the fire and they're battle tested. And there may be other places that are like, hey, you know what? We like to work with people that we like and who are good at what they do. So it's just a different kind of work environment, I think that plays into it. He doesn't talk about that. He's just like, big law is tough. Nut up.
And that's sort of the thing, is that you're going to go into this place and get slapped around and just get it maybe start pre-slapping yourself,
That's right.
Whereas, think of this. What if I went to, Lawyer Exchange and started working on projects, to build my resume and get paid? Or what if I found a way to, assist another existing law firm with contracts? What if I found a way to shrink the access to justice gap, with the Bar Association and build my brand from there? You don't have to go into the lion's den here. You can create your own petting zoo, is what I'm thinking.
If what you're doing is making you miserable, you're not going to keep doing it for long, and I think that's kind of hidden in here. And maybe that's a way to flip this thing around, where it says the number one attorney career killer. Maybe it's this kind of cultural myth that you have to be all in. Tally and Mark, they have extremely full lives. Vacations, they have kids. They're certainly not in the office 16 hours a day.
No, yeah, and it's possible. Balancing law and life and love is possible, and so the interview with Tally and Mark is it's something that can give people hope out there. All you lawyers thinking that you're either a Harrison Barnes or you're not. There's an in between,
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the interview.
Stay tuned for more goodness from Lawsome after this message.
The internet can be a cold and unforgiving place. Every day, thousands of law firm websites go unvisited and unfairly labeled as worthless due to the inattention or misguided attempts at do-it-yourself marketing by their owners. Poor optimization and bad design principles have left these sites unable to realize the full potential of the digital landscape they're forced to exist in, and they're now trapped on page 3 of the search results in an endless cycle of bad management, leading to poor results, leading to disillusionment and loss. There's hope for these neglected websites in the form of a digital marketing company focused exclusively on law firms. Since 1999, Consultwebs has helped hundreds of lawyers connect to thousands of clients across the country using sound marketing principles based off an exhaustive track record of marketing campaigns that have already proven to be successful. If your website is underperforming, call Consultwebs at 800-872-6590 and get the clicks it so desperately needs. Please don't let another day full of unvisited pages go by. Take that step and call today for them.
And now for a Lawsome interview.
Mark and Tally Thiessen own the Thiessen Law Firm in Houston, Texas, focusing on DWI, criminal defense, PI, and family law. Tally Thiessen studied mass communications and broadcasting before receiving her JD from Texas Tech and specializes in family law. Mark traveled the world studying law while getting his JD from South Texas College of Law. After practicing as individual associates in a variety of legal settings, Mark started the Thiessen Law Firm in 2011, with Tally joining in 2016. Last year, the power couple cemented the partnership and are now man and wife. After hearing about the joint efforts in love and law from our very own Helen Buchelmez, we reached out to Tally and Mark, and they have cleared their calendars for this interview, and we are honored to have them on Lawsome today. Mark, Tally, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about your career trajectories. I kind of briefly went into it. Tally, you did mass communications and broadcasting. Mark, you had experience in performance and acting and, traveling internationally. How did you guys end up running your own law firm, and how did you end up where you are today? Tally, let's start with you.
Okay, basically from childhood, I always dreamed of being a morning broadcaster, and so that's kind of the trajectory that I took in college. While I was working towards that goal, I took a class that was called Media and the Law, and that class just blew me away. It was so much fun. It was basically about high-profile lawsuits, celebrities, all the juicy parts of the legal community that we don't really deal with on a day-to-day basis. But it was my senior year, and it was kind of a fluff class, but it was so much fun. I just decided, let's look up the LSAT, see when the test is, see kind of where life takes me. And so I took it about a month later, and then applied to Texas Tech, got accepted, and went there, loved it, loved Lubbock, stayed there for a while in a criminal defense firm, which I never really saw myself in, but ended up being there for like 7 years and had a great time. And then I met Mark at a seminar in Lubbock and fell in love. And so that's what came here. And it was almost, we basically just, it was automatic that I was going to join his firm and kind of open up a family law practice here. And so that's kind of where we are today.
So Mark, talk about your path to that magical seminar where you met Tally, and then,
Yeah, mine was a little different. I kind of grew up in a bubble here in Houston, going to all private schools all the way through high school. And I got in some trouble in private school, but my parents got me out of it. We had a good criminal lawyer. And then I went to play tennis over at Trinity and was really going to be a doctor. And those classes were really hard at Trinity. So my parents are both physicians, and they were like, well, we're not spending this money to send you to Trinity. And I got in some more trouble at Trinity, and the dean was basically saying, hey, if you're found guilty of this, it was a fraternity prank, and we were stealing signs from a bar. But if you're found guilty of this, we're going to kick you out of school. And I was like, well, I'm going to leave before you can kick me out. So I went to TCU and finished up a business degree in 2 years at TCU. Got in some more trouble at TCU with my fraternity there as well. And I kind of started realizing, man, I need to save on legal fees. And so I was a marketing major because I got in 2 years.
I love this.
It was just cost effective.
Oh, yeah. Well, because I was a marketing major, and I was like, I don't want to be a marketing major. And I was like, what else can I do? And they're like, you can take the LSAT. And like her, I took business law. And so I was like, this is cool. And I kept asking about my own legal problems during classes and after classes. And I was like, it's cool to be a lawyer. So then I honestly took the LSAT because I didn't really want to get a job at 21, to be honest. And then I went to law school and had a great time in law school. I was still in school, playing intramural sports in school, doing the same thing till 2000. And then I found a loophole in law school that said you only need to take 60 hours at South Texas. So I went to law school in Malta, London, and Hawaii. And I finished out, I got my degree, my JD from South Texas. But what my last stint was in Hawaii, I worked for an admiralty firm there. I took all my classes Tuesday, Thursday, and then I worked for a firm Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and went surfing every day. And so it was a great time. I was doing admiralty out there, but I got kind of lonely, came back to Houston, graduated, got a job with an admiralty firm. And it was just different because in Hawaii, it was all like, it was sexy. It was surfboard product design, defect, and like environmental law, salvage. It just wasn't the same. Here in Texas, it was like I got my arm ripped off on a rig. And so I was like, I left there. Although I loved that job, wanted to broaden my horizon, went to insurance defense. And while I was doing that, basically they'd say, hey, well, this guy got his arm ripped off. And I was like, well, let's give him the policy limits. And they're like, that's not how any of this works. We're going to charge him $100,000 and then we'll settle for $400,000. I go, yeah, but the company's still out $500,000. They're like, yeah, you just don't have the right mind for this. And I was living with 2 DAs at the time. And I was like, you guys are having fun. You guys are doing what I used to love doing, which was acting and performing. Because for my whole life, I wanted to either be a comedian or I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Like if law school wouldn't have gone through, I was going to go into. And so, those guys, look how those guys are great athletes and can yell at that intensity without ever cussing. It is tough. Yeah. So I'm having problems not cussing right here. So,
and this is only the first question,
right? And so then I went to, I left and went to do DWI defense and was there for about 5.5 years and really came into a niche. And I was trying more cases than the whole firm combined was trying. I was just really found my niche in the criminal world. And it's funny, I always swore that I would never do criminal law because I had so many criminal issues, growing through college and high school and everything that all were resolved and don't exist anymore. But I was like, nah, I can't do criminal. But it really was the courtroom that brought me back. I wanted to put on shows. I wanted to fight for clients. I wanted to fight for the underdog. I love being David versus Goliath. I love fighting the man for the underdog. And so then as I left that firm, started my own firm in 2007, was speaking around the state. And they brought me into Lubbock to speak on blood testing. And I met this tall blonde girl who was talking trash to me one night. Actually, I'll be honest with you, because she's 6 foot tall. And I remember getting out of the Uber, going to this bar after the seminar. I go, damn, they make their girls big here in Lubbock. And she turned around and was like, what did you say? And I was like, I mean, voluptuous. I spent the rest of the night harassing her and flirting with her. And then we'd meet up and see each other at different seminars. And then it just was undeniable. And it was just undeniable, our attraction. And we just kept getting to know each other more and more. And then finally it was like, I think you need to come down here, you know? And so we got engaged in Machu Picchu, and she moved down, I think, that month. Mm-hmm. And because I was never going to give up 51% of my firm. I was the sole ownership. This is the way she married into 50%. Now I got a partner.
He's obviously still getting in.
Yeah.
So, balancing a marriage while balancing a firm, relationships, marriage has their counselors and businesses have their coaches. How do you guys strike the balance at work? I asked if you guys work on cases together, but it seems like you don't. How do you guys separate those things, and how do you balance that?
Yeah, we actually do work on cases together. I do family law, but I also do criminal law. And when Mark does some trials, I always sit second chair with him.
On the big cases,
and like the felony, I definitely sit with him. So we do work on cases together. I actually really like it. I think it really works for us because we're able to, at home and at the work, kind of, we know what our roles are, and we both respect that. And I think in marriage, just like any other marriage, it's the big thing is communication. Mm. And as long as we talk about what needs to happen or what's going on or our calendar, I mean, we're pretty much on the same page. But even though we work together, we don't see each other all day, every day. I mean, sometimes we'll fly by each other and see each other in the same ports, but other than that, sometimes we'll only see each other a couple times a day. But it's actually really easy to balance. I feel like it really works for us.
I always tell people we are together 24/7, and I love it. The other morning we got up at 7, we went running together. Then we'll go to work. We know where each other are, kind of in the courthouse, and bounce around. Everybody's like, don't you need a breath? Don't you need a breath? And I'll be honest with you. I was married before, and she couldn't keep me at home. I was always running, I didn't want to be at home because I didn't have anything in common. Mm-hmm. And now when I'm married to Callie, I love being with her. She's my best friend. I'm telling her, I'm like, I don't really need any other friend. I love being with you. We go work out together. We go to work together. We go to baseball games. We travel. She goes scuba diving with me. She goes she skis double blacks now with me. And it's like, we do everything together, and I love it. And what's weird is you think, oh, well, you guys are the same person. I'm realizing she's the introvert and I'm kind of the extrovert. And I'm like, you are an introvert? Because she bosses me a lot. But I see in social settings, definitely introverted than I am. But it just works for us.
I'm curious, do you think that because you're both lawyers, that makes it easier? Doctors tend to date other doctors stuff. You know what I'm saying? Civilians don't get it. Does that play a part?
I almost cussed there. I almost said no, but absolutely not. It does not make it easier. I mean, we argue like lawyers. I mean, we've had to, and I'll ask her questions and she won't answer, and I'll be like, objection, non-responsive, answer the question. She's not in court, stop cross-examining me. I'm like, answer the question. I was like, objection. I object, and we've had to work through it with ourselves and just be like, we need to take 30 minutes apart. And we have certain rules that we have to abide by when we fight because we're sticklers for the rules being lawyers. And I mean, shoot, even when we play basketball, sometimes we'll have to go sit on separate curbs afterwards because we're so heated and pissed off that, for 30 minutes, we have to give it 30 minutes. And whoever called for the 30-minute break is the one that needs to come back at 30 minutes and we regroup and talk. But I mean, not everything's solved after 30 minutes. We might need another 30 minutes,
Totally.
Yeah. And I think when you go to law school and when you are a lawyer, a lot of people say don't marry another lawyer, or I'd never marry another lawyer. I think that there's definitely the pros and cons. The good thing about it is when we go home, we know what the other one is dealing with, and we know that the kind of stress and things that we take home from our job. So that helps us understand the other person. But the arguing, when we do get into an argument, it does get a little, we would probably get kicked out of the courtroom if we argued like that at work.
Get the
But it
bailiff
does-
involved.
But it sounds like you're very aware of it in the moment, though. You know, and I'm curious too. Like, does that, like, do you just call it time out? Like, hold on, you know, we gotta take a break from the lawyer brain here for a minute because this is getting personal. You know?
Yeah.
We know it.
And then we'll come back and then we'll be like, too soon, another timeout.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause
you
we're
know,
just-
and that sounds like every other relationship. I mean,
I was just gonna say, yeah, absolutely.
My question kind of is I wrote this down, is that your shared work, people are thinking that, oh God, don't you need time away from this person? I think you guys seeing it as a point of understanding and not as a burden. Because my question is it hard to separate the firm business from personal when you're personally involved with a business partner? You know, but I think you kind of answered that in a way that it isn't this burden that you share, but it's an understanding that you have in between each other. I mean, do you think that makes sense? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think it's an understanding, and I think that, again, we have very clearly defined roles as far as the business organization. I know that this is his firm, and I came into it, and while he treats me like a partner, I definitely don't discount the fact that he made this firm what it is. And so I'm here to help him and do whatever we need to make this firm better. And I think that we understand that that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and I mean, if she's in trial or she's stressed or she has to do work that night, I'll go cook the dinner. Like, I know what she's got. And so I'll go cook dinner, or, you know, if she needs something, I'll go get the kids and I'll take the kids away so that she can work, or she can work later. Like, when we're in trial and I need to get up early and get my brain moving, she will get up early with me, even though she hates to, and start going with me. So we understand what the other needs, and we help each other. We're a team.
I love that. That's so cool. So you guys have a life outside the office. How do you guys both break the mental connection with the stuff and activity at the firm? Do you guys have, when you're talking about those roles that are defined at the firm, off-site, are there rituals that you have? How do you guys delegate the off time? Are you guys big on vacations? How do you guys kind of separate those things?
I'd say we're huge on vacation.
Huge on vacation.
We literally just got back from the Cayman Sunday.
Nice.
We work hard, play hard.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's kind of our motto: you work to live, not live to work, right? And so even while we were in the Caymans, I'm still answering emails. Like, you know, about an hour a day, we'll both answer emails, do all this stuff, do a little work stuff, and kind of bitch and moan about it. But then when we go out, I mean, she really is my equal. I mean, she's a 6 foot tall athletic basketball player, and she's got a law degree like I do. I respect her at the end of the day. I respect her as a woman, and she's got a good head on her shoulders. So we bounce off things. And while we were in the Caymans, we were diving, and we dive together, you know, and we figure out what should we eat and Yelp things together. Like, it really is a mutual respect. And so there isn't like me telling her what to do or her always nagging at me. No, it's like we respect each other and admire each other, and then deep down, so that way we treat each other as partners.
And it's very hard to get out of the office. I mean, very important to get out of the office. And it is hard while you're out of the office to not get consumed by work, but it really is necessary to kind of keep our mental sanity.
Yeah.
And so when we're here and we're not on vacation, we definitely make sure that we work out. We have very specific workout times. We know each day kind of where you plan on working out. We live and die by our calendar, and our whole office is attached to it as well. So it's like, when we can get away, we will. If not, we take little breaks throughout the day, because it's just, without it, we would go crazy.
Yeah.
It's important with what we do.
Interesting. So, and it seems like, honestly, it seems like you have it figured out. But I'm curious if you ever see it. Do you ever see it in your colleagues, or I don't want to say people in your office, but, you know, just in your network or wherever, where you see someone and it's like, oh, you don't have it figured out. Right. You know, like, is there ever just like a, dang, that's not going to end well for you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the other day I was in court and I was talking to another lawyer about our trip to Caymans, and some other lawyer said, well, I haven't been on a vacation in 4 years. And we both looked at him and I was like, you're going to pop, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's not healthy, you know? So I understand that people think that they have to hustle every day, all day, but at the end of the day, that's not what's going to get you to your ultimate goal.
Yeah. Work. And I've seen it where because the stress is a killer. Like, we have so many clients that are like, I have clients facing 40, 99 years, like the rest of their life. And so it puts a lot of pressure on me. I'm on Propecia because literally my hair is falling out from all the stress.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I'm like, stay in there. But we have and we're having so many rules all the time, and the judges have rules, and the court and the trial, and people have all this pressure. It's like, you've got to have your you time every day, or like get out there and travel, enjoy the world, we work out, and like when people are calling me during my workout, I'm like, nope, this is my time. This is my time where I'm enjoying burning off the adrenaline, but I've seen relationships really burn out because they're just not nurturing the relationship,
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, man. So doing the research for this episode, I was running across a couple different articles, and it was an odd point of view, but I could see where he was coming from. This guy wrote that people who try and have this work-life balance and who say, well, I need me time or away time or relationship time away from being a lawyer, are going to fail because you're not dedicated enough. And I was kind of blown away by that, because I don't hear that in other professions. Like, I don't see that with the people I know who are doctors or who are nurses or anything like that. Like, everybody prescribes that, but it seems like law is just this crucible sometimes, or this pressure cooker. Have you ever run into that where people are like, oh, you're on vacation again, huh? Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. People are like, do you guys ever work?
I think that's in the civil law firms. That civil law firms is where you have all these people around you going, oh, you got to get in your billables and all this stuff. And there's that civil culture. And here we stand on our own. We stand by our results, and we go in and we kick ass. And then people are like, weren't you just in trial? And now you're flying out. And we're like, yeah, we do. I think I actually completely disagree with that. Because, look at the sports athletes. How many of those sports athletes burn out because they never took a break? How many of those young athletes burning out in tennis, basketball, football, getting injury prone? Like, you have got to have rest time, and in fact, all the best lawyers that I know, like Dan Cogdale rides motorcycles, Jed Silverman's a triathlete, Steve Gonzalez triathlete, Jim Medley competes jiu-jitsu, I compete in jiu-jitsu. All these guys are competitors, and we have, we love doing stuff, but we all have a break from work where you got to get those endorphins moving, the oxygen flowing. And even while people are running or you're working out, you can think about other things. You couldn't sit in a library and study for the bar 12 hours. And that's all those people that did failed the bar, that they were freaking out. Man, when I studied for the bar at midnight, the library closed. Well, the bar didn't close till 2. So on Fridays and Saturdays, I was drinking as much as I could from 12 to 2. Then I'd get back at the library clock the next morning.
So just to back up that, because that's two interesting points, that there's a difference in between trial and civil, like law culture, because we're kind of lumping lawyers all into one group, but someone who's just doing contract law or just doing intellectual property is not going to have the same bandwidth considerations as someone who's dealing with mediations and, family law, or breaking up families, or dealing with criminals who are facing, lifetimes in prison. That is a different type of stress. But what I think is interesting is that people always say work hard, play hard. And everyone says, well, I work hard and I play hard. But maybe they don't play, and maybe they're just working really hard, and then they like binge drink on Thursday. And that's not necessarily the idea, because I think what you guys are leaving out is that you plan hard. You work hard, you play hard, and then you plan hard. Like, I'm setting aside my time. I'm not going to pick up my phone if I'm in jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to, or I'll do a vacation and then we'll set aside an hour to get some work done. I think there's some considerations that people aren't like. it isn't just work hard, play hard. I think you guys have an approach to it, and I think that needs to be kind of explained, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not spontaneous about all of these trips or international trips. I mean, we plan very far in advance, and our whole office is very connected to our, like I said, our calendar. That's the biggest thing that we do every day. We're looking at it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is important to be efficient at the same time.
I think you touched on something that I really want anybody who's listening to hear, that alcohol and drugs and that chemical, like that is a release. And there is a huge alcoholism in being a lawyer and drug addiction and then suicide rates, but that is an unhealthy release. And so, I mean, for all the fraternities that I was in and having fun partying and being out in the environment, it was hard for me to, like, oh, Thursday night, well, let's go out and drink or something. I realized this is not healthy for my business. I cannot wake up on Friday morning smelling like alcohol, go to court. I can't function as well. I can't be in the middle of trial, drink, alcohol is not a healthy release, right? So what I had to go to a therapist, he taught me a mental trick for myself because I hated saying no to things. I want to do everything. I want to be at every function. I want to be out there. I want to do everything. I want to say yes. He taught me, you're not saying no to Thursday night. You're saying yes to Friday morning, Mark. So I realized I'm not saying no to Thursday night. I'd love to go drink with y'all, but I'd rather be healthy and be at court and not have a client tell me that I smell like alcohol on Friday morning. So that's more important to me than Thursday. So I'm saying yes to Friday morning. And I mean, don't get us wrong. We still find the time to have fun and drink and everything, but you got to be careful. That can't be your only stress relief. That's just a recipe for disaster. You have to have a healthy stress relief.
We just cut an episode of the mental health crisis facing lawyers, and alcohol addiction is huge. So yeah, no, good points. So switching gears, kind of going towards marketing. Mark, you have that background, and your website is awesome. You guys look fierce. I've seen hundreds of lawyer websites, and I totally dig the vibe. Are there any marketing insights for lawyers working maybe specifically inside criminal defense are there any insights you could share, like the way you guys use social media? Do you guys do blogs? How do you do public relations around big successful cases? Like, how do you use your marketing intelligence for the firm?
So that's what I originally started. So I knew that, and I've talked to a lot of people about marketing and what to do. You got to figure out where your target, well, first, you got to know where your clients are. Okay, so we know where our clients are, and I'll tell you, I want wealthy people because they need to afford me that get in trouble. Well, what do wealthy people do? They drink, they do drugs, they get in fights, they have assault, family violence, they get divorced, that kind of stuff. And so get into, all right, how do I brand myself? And just like Nike and them did, I think I started with my logo. And so now even on the side of our building, you don't even see my name. You just see our logo because our logo is everywhere. Our logo with it's not a skull and crossbones, but it's two gavels at a cross with a wreath around it. It says TLF. And so people know what that is now because we put it on so many things. I love social media because it's free, right? And you have so many friends, but you need to be, who are you going to present yourself as? So I guess as you get the logo, you get the website, you get the phone number, I can't just tell you if you're, 5'5", 130 pounds, kind of a nerdy guy to go, hey, you're going to go as aggressive criminal law and stand up there with a scowl on your face. No, you have to be real to yourself, and I can't put some guy in a cowboy hat that wears I wear pocket squares all the time. It'd be weird if I was wearing a cowboy hat and boots trying to be a cowboy all the time.
Right.
You have to be, real to who you are and what are you selling. And I am very aggressive. Like I fight Muay Thai, I fight Jiu-Jitsu, I fight in tournaments. Like I've gotten in fights, like I am an aggressive person and that is how I do my law. And so I promote that as that aggressive. And we have big jacked up trucks with holding Dobermans and we have fun we can still do fun marketing, but you can't, there's a fine line between fun marketing and cheapening your brand or cheapening your name. We have guys that have commercials that are funny as hell out there and they're off the wall and, doing these things. But at the same time, does the CEO of a company want to stand up when he says, who's your lawyer and say out that name? No, because everybody knows it's kind of like, so you got to be like, you have to hold that respect, but we also do fun things, but now we do more philanthropy. We give out free cups to all the, Trees for Houston or Blondes versus Brunettes that's doing the Alzheimer's Association, anything, we give them free cups. We give all the bars, we give them free t-shirts and koozies and pens and lighters. And, I think one of the best ways that we ever dealt with marketing, because a lot of people steal our marketing and they'd go to a bar and say, hey, well, we'd like you to hand out our koozies as well. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make this real easy. I will make you your own bar koozies. Let me put my name on the other side. And he's like, done. How can I turn that? Right. So it's like, no, we're not going to hand out 2 lawyers. No, we're going to hand out our own bar. So we have bars that we make koozies for, and we put our label. Bars want their T-shirt. Yeah, put your stuff everywhere. Can I put mine on the sleeve? Can I put mine on the back? We'll make your girls whatever you want, tank tops, whatever. And then we're giving out to more philanthropy. We're supporting the sports teams around here as we get bigger. We do a lot of Houston Pride stuff, like koozies that people would want to pick up. Like we did an Astros koozie. We got a Rockets koozie right now. I mean, marketing is big, big business. We write blogs. We promote our cases. We send out emails to everybody. We spend a lot of money a year on marketing.
Yeah. Well, and so here's one side. Have you gotten cases from social media?
Tons. Yeah, every day somebody will be tagging me saying, hey, call Mark Thiessen. And, because there are certain people like we give military discount or we give industry discounts. So all these people have groups on social media that are called like the Liquid Ninjas, and we support the Liquid Ninjas in anything that they do. And whenever their members come in, we give them 50% discount, and like we will help. So we do a good job because what are they doing? They're the ones serving. They have strong networks, or our military. Shoot, you fought from there's all day long people are responding, or we put out posts about our victories. And so it really is, it's called FOMA, front of the mind association. Like we have social media for the firm, social media for me, and it's always in a positive light. We're never getting into politics or controversial stuff. We're sending out information for the masses so that way everybody always sees like, hey, these guys are reputable, they're here, they're winning, call them. You just got to educate masses.
Woo. Man, this is all gold.
Oh yeah, I know. We're about to veer away from relationship and work-life balance here, but it's amazing. Like Jake, honestly, every time I feel like I like how Mark just keeps slipping this stuff in. Like, oh, I'm into jujitsu. I do these tournaments. Like, I'm gonna ask him a question, and he's gonna be like, well, it reminds me of the last time I was on the International Space Station.
Right.
But you did put something in there. I want to follow up with you about the TV lawyer. Jake and I just did a whole episode. It's going to be airing soon, called "Does a Good Lawyer Need a TV Commercial?" And it's kind of the pros and cons about these quote TV lawyers or people who choose consciously to not do that kind of thing. And the way you said it there kind of cast it in a way that a lot of other people are just, they don't approve. And I'm curious, is that a thing? Like, do you feel like that's, I don't want to say cheap, but it's going to put you, if you did it, people who do TV commercials lessen their brand or lessen their credibility by doing that kind of stuff?
No, I think it's the way you sell yourself. I think there are some TV lawyers that are phenomenal, giving good stuff, but they're kind of boring commercials. But then you have Jim Adler he's been around since I was a kid, the Texas Hammer, and everybody knows him, and they know it's just stick, but what he's doing, he's in the civil world throwing out that net. You've got to educate. How do you get to all these people sitting around injured or that are in the refineries getting injured or having truckers and these kind of things? How do you throw a net? How do you put a business card out there? What are they marketing with? Their results. People want to see results. I've gotten $330,000. I got $1 million settlements. You need to people will go to people that are getting $1 million settlements. And I like how they're throwing out that net. But you do have some TV lawyers that cheapen their image by just being that outlandish, it's just more shock and awe. And I know that it'll garner attention and may go viral and everything. But at the end of the day, when you see that guy talking to a jury, are you really going to trust him and what he's saying? Or is he just like the funny guy? you know? So I think there's a way that you can do it. Also, while I'm on it with marketing, now that Tally joined the firm, it's a whole nother thing. Like, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, and it's like, I know that in her family law cases, you know what would piss off somebody's spouse? Hiring Tally. She's tough as nails. And then say I'm getting divorced and I go hire this beautiful tall one. I mean, she'll even say, yeah, people hire me to piss off their spouse, but she's also tough and knowledgeable. And we get to sell. I hate to tell you, sex sells, you know, like if we're both good looking people, we're both up on billboards showing our faces. People are like, I like the look of that. He looks like a good lawyer. She looks like a good lawyer. I can't tell you how many times we've gone into court and someone would be like, I'll have even a client say, dude, thank you for dressing up. That's why I paid you, because you look like the most expensive lawyer in here. You got to promote the image everywhere. You know, you can't be schlepping around in unpolished shoes and your tail hanging out in, you know, crappy colors and everything. Like, you got to have it all put together, because the client that comes in that's paying for the best wants everybody in that courtroom is looking at who the hell are those lawyers, and then they feel proud when they walk out with you.
Tally, specifically speaking for you, is it hard for you to balance sometimes the aggression? Do you get kind of blowback from people, or how do you deal with being an aggressive female attorney? Is that approach different? I mean, telling somebody that you fight Muay Thai would be a little weird, or would it? You know, I'm just kind of wondering, as a woman, how do you kind of balance those things? Because you got to be scrappy, but you don't want to lose some of that kind of, I don't know, dignified air. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It is completely a very hard line to walk. And Mark and I have had this discussion multiple times, and that would be a whole other podcast. So basically, you know, walking the line between being a woman, being an attractive woman, and not being a like grouchy woman, or you don't want to be a nagging woman. A lot of juries don't like it when women are aggressive or outspoken. And so it's like, you have to walk that line between advocating for your client and definitely advocating aggressively, but not being too aggressive.
And so not being a bimbo.
Yeah. And you don't want to come off as, I am blonde, I am tall. And so that's kind of an issue that I have as well. And so some days I downplay it and some days I don't, kind of depending on where I am. And that's something that Mark has never had to deal with or think about, but it's something that women in this business deal with all the time.
On relationship side, we've had DAs hit on her, and I'm just like, whatever. I take it as a compliment. She's had clients hit on her. She used to go on jail visits to people like in jail, and they'd be showing their junk to her, and she's like, put it away. I'm talking. Like, she's a boss in there, and she doesn't put up with that. And she even had, you know, a DA call her honey a couple of times. She's like, don't call me that. And he's like, what?
Man.
And so it kind of blew up, and she came home and told me, and I was pissed off, and I was like, if I find this, and so it took me 2 days to go approach this guy, and I was like, tell me your side of the story. Because the next day I was just like, I'm going to walk in and grab you out by your tie. We're going to talk about this. And she's like, no, I can handle this myself. And she did. She handles it because she is a boss, but you have, especially down here in Texas, you got a lot of chauvinism. You got a lot of people, you know, big attorneys wanting to, hey, you can come with me, you know, all kinds of weird stuff. But we're a power couple, and we appreciate. And at the end of the day, we realize, who else is going to run around the world with you? Who else, you know, go find that rich old lawyer. Is he going to go ski double blacks? No, he's going to want to drink whiskey every day, you know. And we do it. We talking about marketing and females, and then our relationship. It does come around, and we laugh about it too. Well, then she'll be like, well, I don't want going out with some brand new law school graduate. And I'm like, babe, nobody's going to know all of this stuff and be able to do all of this and then practice with me. I mean, I really do respect and appreciate her. And that's just special to find.
And I bet you're kind of jealous too, because when you walk into a prison, people aren't showing their junk to you, you know, and you're like, what the hell? Why aren't you?
It's very pretty. So he probably gets hit on more than I do. He's a very pretty man.
I had to go in the female jail probably a couple weeks ago, and they're like, what are you here for? And I was like, the showers? And they're like, nah, you don't want to. I thought I was going to female jail. You know? Some jailers do not have a sense of humor. But I was like, all right, I'm going in the female jail. And I was just like, it's smelly in here and everybody's ugly. I was like, no. It was not.
Oh my God.
Well,
I
and
was-
you probably don't want jailers with an amazing sense of humor. They're like, oh, this guy,
Yeah, totally.
so funny. The funniest guard
Down-
ever.
No,
Totally.
it's not like those movies make the female jail seem. It's not sexy at all, and they're not pillow fighting and everything. No, that doesn't happen.
Different story. Well, we could keep going, but I want to wrap really quick and just give your contact details to the audience. Where can they find you if they want to link with you, like on LinkedIn or something like that? Give us your contact details.
We're at unfortunately, I didn't think about how long this website was. The Texas Trial Attorney, THE Texas Trial Attorney, spell it all out. Or you can find me real easy at dwimark.com. We got all social media in there. Tally. I mean, if you want our emails, it's Tally or Mark. Tally, not Tally Mark, but we're not that couple that has like a joint.
Matching towels.
Yeah, we have like a joint Facebook and Allie at the Texas Trial Attorney or Mark at the TexasTrialAttorney.com. And then we're in Houston, Texas, but we travel all over Texas. We can handle anything criminal, family, personal injury, whatever.
Yeah, and we have a Twitter, we have Instagram, Facebook page, Beeson Law Firm. We're kind of across all different platforms.
Ten questions we ask everyone.
Here we go with 10 questions we ask everyone. Number 1, what was the last book you read?
We just got back from vacation, so I read a book called A Good Killing. I really like murder suspense.
Damn it. It's embarrassing. It's on testosterone replacement treatment.
Okay.
I'm hitting 40. I was reading about testosterone.
Okay. It's good, man. I appreciate the honesty. Number 2, what is your best habit?
I would say I'm very organized.
I don't want to go with organized. I think I'm pretty organized as well. I would think my best habit. Oh, I'm a very, very good mediocre lover. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I love it. Okay.
90% of the time it works 60% of the time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
boom.
Here we go. Number 3, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or none of the above?
Snapchat.
Facebook,
Number 4, coffee or tea?
Tea.
coffee.
Number 5. Oh, this is good. This is going to be a good one. What's your favorite place?
New Zealand.
Oh, yeah, I did like Queenstown, but I don't know. I really like our palapa in our backyard. It's very cozy. But I do love Queenstown, New Zealand was my favorite place in the world. When the kids grow up, we're retiring there.
Number 6, is Keanu Reeves a good actor?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Now Jake and I are completely in love with both of you.
You guys are in
Number-
the inner sanctum. Yeah.
No-
God.
Number 7, what was your first job?
I was a lifeguard in college.
I was a busboy for Grady's American Grill.
Number 8, what is a skill you have outside of your current occupation that you incorporate into your work?
I read a lot. And I read very fast. And so that always kind of helps because I have a good memory too of all the things I read, so I can kind of pop that out during work.
I would say I treat the guys in the locker room, like the shower guys at the locker room, or a busboy, the same as any CEO. My ability to talk to anybody, I take into court, and I don't care if you're a CEO, I don't care if you're a busboy. I'm treating you the same way with respect. And so when I meet people in a jury, I treat them all the same way.
Nice.
Love that.
Number 9, what sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
I listen to a ton of podcasts. I also read Grits for Breakfast, and then I read realityt.com for my reality TV show updates. But I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't like listening to music in the car, so it's usually some kind of spoken word.
Cool.
As you can tell, she's my millennial wife, and I was like, I don't even know what podcasts are. I look at Facebook, and people are posting about the news and everything, and she'd be like, "What? You didn't see that on Facebook?" And I'm like, "That's all I check when I'm bored in court."
Nice. A lot of people do. A lot of people, their Facebook feed is where they get their news. So not uncommon. All right. We made it to the end. Number 10. After a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
At night, basically, we go home, we make dinner, and sometimes we'll hang out in the Palapas. It's our backyard. We have a nice kind of outdoor area. We just like to hang out there and watch TV and talk and chill. That's kind of the biggest thing that we do throughout the week and on weekends that we're actually in town.
Yeah, I would say we go get Mexican food and then hang out with each other or go see some friends, maybe even go to a movie where we travel.
For show notes, links, and info, follow us on Twitter or Facebook, or go to www.consultwebs.com/lawsomepodcast. Be sure to leave us a review and ratings on iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawsome.